All right, here we go. Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz, and this is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So this week, the Texans are going on the road facing the Jacksonville Jaguars in a rivalry game that a lot of people probably don't see as a rivalry, but it pretty much is. Anytime these two teams get together, it doesn't really matter the records. Evidence can be shown about that as early as last season. So we'll get into all that and what the Texans got to do to pick up a W for that one. First off, I want to do a quick little game recap from this past Sunday's game. So my first reaction from this game is that from the game against the Colts, our home opener. My first reaction is that it was a borderline blowout slash almost failed close win. And what I mean with all those syllables tactically put together, um, yeah, it was a blowout. It was looking like that, 31-10 going into the fourth quarter. Uh, Texans just I don't know what they were doing for the first three quarters. As soon as that fourth quarter came around, things started to pick up. They scored 10 points, including a touchdown to Tank Dell. That brought it to 31-20. And so that's when, what I'm saying, things looked like they were might be able to pull out some type of comeback, some type of miracle. Hopefully that was going to happen. Obviously, that did not happen. I saw quite a few people kind of say that the yards that CJ threw, which was 384 yards by the way, damn near 400. That most of it was kind of garbagey, and I saw some pushback to that notion, but I mean, you got to call it for what it was. Like this, we were down huge. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, they probably. I think Indianapolis probably played a little bit softer until they saw that the score was coming in a little bit closer. So, um, just a you know a bad performance. No matter how you slice it. But there was just, quite a few other things going on as well with this team, mainly the injuries. We just could not overcome that injury bug at all. Um, Everybody was hurt. Both our starting safeties were out. Our O line, obviously, we're still having issues with that, but Tunsil, he was ruled out for this game. CJ Stroud almost missed the game. Um, he was listed as questionable. I think for chest injury or something. Yeah. So yeah, he almost missed the game. Uh, Missed this game against Indianapolis. So for whatever reason, there's just injuries all over this team, and it's obviously it's affecting how we're playing on the field. But speaking of injuries, yeah, it's just to continue on a transition from the game recap. It's injuries everywhere. Like completely. This is crazy to me. I always hear the mantra that a lot of NFL analysts, because they're former players, whatever, they talk about like towards the end of the year, everybody's hurt. You know what I'm saying? This looks like the end of the year right now. But if we're going by that statement, like obviously we got the O line, but just to have both starting safeties out, and it's still continuing on. Um, I, I can't even remember the last time I looked at an injury report. It's been a minute. I don't usually look at them this early, but I have to basically. Jalen Petrie, he's going to be out another game. Um, Denzel Perryman, he's going to be out for this coming week. Tavier Thomas, he's out. That's another cornerback that we're going to be out without. Derek Stingley it was just announced he's going to be put on injured reserve for a while. I don't think it's the season-ending injury reserve. I think he's just going to be out for like 4 weeks or so. But he's out with a hamstring injury. Um, the good news is Larry Tunsil, he's questionable, but at least he's not out. you know. Um, so yeah, man, it's just looking at the injury report from this week. Well, Jimmy Ward's coming back, so that's another good deal. Um, but yeah, just looking at the injury report for this week, it's just crazy seeing out, 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 out. Doubtful. Just next to these guys' names, and because these are like players that are like what I'm saying, really key players that we need to win these games. Some of them helped us win, the few games that we won last season. And so to see them being hurt and injured, it's a sad thing, obviously, for their health and all that stuff. But also, it's tough. It's going to be tough on this team, because you're going to have to dig in on your bench and, see who's ready to step up. And, hopefully everybody is, you know what I'm saying? But maybe the talent level just isn't there. So it's going to be tougher for wins to come by. Um, so yeah, Petrie, Stingley, um, they're out this week, and Stingley, man, it's it hurts to see him like go down with this injury because he had to end his rookie season early because of an injury, foot injury, I believe. And now he's coming back, you know what I'm saying? We have a lot of expectations for him. People are excited on, what I'm saying, how he played against the Baltimore Ravens. But all of that happened just for him to be like, back on injury reserve this early in the season. So hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he comes back in the like in at least at the midpoint of the season or later in the season. Um, One more thing before I get into this game preview. So Nick Caserio, there's like a rallying or a call for him to be fired, mostly on Twitter. So, um, so I mean, I s- I don't get how it's already calling for him to be fired. Now, granted, the last two seasons they they were not our best moments in this franchise's history at all. I think he even hinted, and I probably mentioned this like maybe the last 2 weeks, but I think Casario hinted that he kind of made the moves that he made in the last two seasons just to kind of get through those two seasons. You know what I'm saying? We really wasn't on like any good standing. We didn't really have too many draft picks. I think the influx of draft picks really kicked in with the Deshaun Watson trade. So we started using those. He was what? Yeah, in last season. We started using those on guys like Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie, Kenyon Green. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that. And so you know what I'm saying? Like we really last season, we kind of said like, oh, this might be a good draft. This season, we're saying the same thing. However, when scrolling through the tweets, I saw one Twitter user. I could check his profile real quick to see if he's like Texans. Nothing official. So I think he hosts spaces. He hosts a Twitter space over the Texans apparently, according to his profile. But um, his name is Brown Chubby Bear. That's his at name on Twitter, Brown Chubby Bear. So if you want to go look at his list, go ahead look at it. It's up there still. I bookmarked it or whatever just for reference. But he laid out some of the draft. He laid out the last. He laid out the three drafts that Casario has been a part of. So 2021, everybody's listed in this draft as a bust except Nico Collins. Oh snap! That's what I forgot to mention in the game recap. I love how Nico Collins was getting it in. 7 catches, 146 yards, touchdown. Um, in the Indianapolis game. I've been wanting look, I personally been wanting to see what y'all been talking about for Nico Collins. Y'all saying that he's on his way. I haven't seen it yet. Granted, we didn't have the most uh solid foundation at quarterback last two seasons, so you know what I'm saying, you can do with that information what you will. But now that we have somewhat of a good quarterback, because he's still a rookie, 2 games in, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to pro too much on him. Still let him prove himself, you know what I'm saying? But now that we have somewhat of a decent quarterback compared to the last two seasons, he has been looking good out there. He's been looking great. You know what I'm saying? And he's looked great in the Baltimore game. He looked great in the Indianapolis game. I think we really got something going. I like how Stroud is, building a connection with him, particularly. So, because I'm finally seeing the potential with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I really haven't been seeing it the last few years, but now I'm coming around to see it. Okay, but Speaking of Nico Collins, he was part of that 2021 draft. He was listed as a stud in this draft list. Going to the 2022 draft. So we got Stingley, Kenyon Green, John Mechie, Christian Harris, Damian Pierce, Thomas Booker, Tegan Catoriano, and Austin Deckles. So the only players listed as either stud or good, Petrie, Pierce, Cateriano. That's it. It's still the jury still. He says to be determined on Christian Harris. So you know that's on him. Interested in that Stingley and Kenyon Green, who's also done for the season. Um, that they already consider bust. Now, 2023 draft. CJ Stroud, obviously a stud for right now. Will Anderson to be determined. Uh, that's I don't know. Juice Scruggs to be determined. So everybody is on here is pretty much to be determined except CJ Stroud. He's listed as a stud. So he tweeted that to kind of put Caserio under the microscope for how he's done as a GM so far, how he's done in the draft. So I mean, listen, man. The 2021. Let's going back over this list. 2021 draft. So I'm I'm kind of not shocked that Mills got this label. Kind of shocked Roy Lopez got this label or ended up with this label because I figured he would be doing a little bit more. Brevin Jordan, I thought he would probably come around a little bit better as well. Uh, but that's obviously not the case. But I don't think any of the tight ends are really doing too much. Dalton Schultz hasn't done too great as his own. So, but these other guys, they got Stingley on here for the draft or bust. So I say that to say all this. A lot of these guys are hurt, especially in that 22 draft. That's the draft that we're kind of like, that kind of sparked, I feel like, kind of sparked the excitement in the Texans fans. Like when they saw the players that we were getting, we were like, okay, we could really do something. It sparked us so much they thought, we could get Davis Mills these players and let him do his thing to the side while this team just carries. Yeah, it did get that far, and y'all know it got that far. Now, I feel like injuries are just an unfortunate thing. That's all I have to really say about that. I mean, any team right now can get injured. Any group of players can get injured. Hell, you're seeing what's happening with the running backs, the running back position in general. You know what I'm saying? You see Saquon's falling down. Jonathan Taylor, he had injury, contract holdout, whatever. He had something going on. Nick Chubb got injured the other night. You know what I'm saying? So it's like injuries are going to happen in this game. It's just unfortunate that we're suffering injuries amongst a lot of our players, a lot of our core players that we need to go in there and win games with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those guys are down, and it's just kind of got things shaken up real quick. So I feel like fans calling for Nick Caserio to get fired before week 3 of his third season is a little extreme. You know what I'm saying? Like we finally got, you think about it, we finally got a quarterback, to really just kind of succeed the last, quote unquote quarterback that we had or whatever. Um, he we finally got a coach. We finally got a coach that, what I'm saying, wants to come here. Not just any coach. We got one of the hottest coaching candidates from this past off season. So, man, people need to chill. I'm pretty sure this topic is gonna come up again. If I find something, different or whatever. But people just kind of need to chill, be patient, fall back a little bit, and just let him do his job. You know what I'm saying? It's we still rebuilding, so the work ain't finished. You know what I'm saying? We just got to see this through. These are some talented players. Some gonna make it, and some are not gonna make it. But you know what I'm saying? Right now, they're all dealing with injuries, so it's kind of stifling. What we're gonna see as far as the effort that they put in, as far as like the results that we want to see. So we need to just chill on trying to fire the general manager in this third season. All right, so That being said, time to preview this game matchups, man. And look, Texans Jaguars. A lot of people don't really pay attention to this quote unquote rivalry. They would probably air quote it as a rivalry, but a lot of people don't really pay attention to it because it's the Texans, it's the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? These are like two expansion franchises from the last 30 years or so. Nobody is really like just it's they're just you know what I'm saying. They're not really like considered like the perennial elite teams that draws a lot of attention. They're not considered like a Green Bay, what used to be a New England, a Kansas City. You know what I'm saying? Or just uh, teams like that. So they're like kind of afterthoughts in a sense. So you know what I'm saying? When they hear like Texans, Jaguars, I'm like, oh, what else is on TV, kind of, and that's just being honest. But aside from all that, these two teams really play each other well. It's amazing. It doesn't matter like who has the better roster, who has the better record. They really come to fight and bring it to each other. And so I don't think this Sunday is going to be any different. Houston's going to go on the road and they're going to face the Jaguars, and you know what I'm saying, they're going to give them their all. So three things the Texans need to do. Number one, defend against the speed of the Jaguars. Jaguars got some playmakers. Like, we think of playmakers, you probably thinking of like, San Francisco or whatever, but no, they got some speedsters over there, you know what I'm saying, that could tear the field up. So you got Travis Etienne running out the backfield as either a runner or a receiver. You got Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones, all potential deep threats at any given time during the game. So you have to go in there, you have to defend that. You have to, what I'm saying, just really go in there and make sure that, um, yeah, you just have to go in there and keep that under control. Make sure they don't go crazy for no big plays. Second thing, protect CJ Stroud at all costs. Look, the last two games, CJ Stroud, he's a rookie, so he's been, what I'm saying, he's been bumping his head a little bit as far as like getting started in these games, getting an early start and getting going. But once he settles down, the reason he'll settle down is because there's actually pass protection. The reason he's bumping his head is because obviously there's no pass protection. He's trying to figure out how to escape the pocket, and so that's gonna probably throw his read off. He probably has a perfect, what I'm saying, target on the receiver, and all of a sudden here comes this 300-pound defensive tackle just going right past our guards and tackles. You know what I'm saying? And CJ Stroud has to make a really, really good business decision right now. So yeah, it's hard for him to just kind of, you know, keep the, just kind of find his targets when he needs to. What I have seen him do a little bit better, compared from week one to week two, is get the ball out real quick. So you know what I'm saying? Perhaps it's not just on the O line, but perhaps the coach needs to draw up plays where he's getting the ball out quicker, where he's throwing the routes that are quick, just like that. So 1-2, bam, there you go. 1-2, bam. You know what I'm saying? Just do that because obviously this O line is going to be continue to be the big story and the big blame until it's not. You know what I'm saying? And so what they need to do is just find other ways to protect them and help them out, and just help this O line out as well while they're going through their injuries. And so, also with part of that, going back to the O line, because I forgot my little point on that one, they just need to just recognize the blitzes as well. I noticed that when he gets to the line and what I'm saying, they're doing that communication thing. What I'm saying, the protection gets better. What I'm saying, everybody's recognizing like what's coming. So what I'm saying, definitely whatever they pick up on tape, make sure that they can, what I'm saying, repeat it on the first drive that they get on there, or even after the first drive, whatever they see thrown at them on the opening drive, make sure they come back on the second drive and kind of replay those, recognize those same blitzes and formations. So third and final thing Texans got to do is overall just push through the injuries. It's tough. It really is tough. Uh, as far as like just overcoming injuries, especially when you have multiple starters who are out or missing time or coming off a certain ailment. You know what I'm saying? So it's best if they just push through these injuries, just overcome the mental block of like, oh, my teammate that's usually on this side, he's not on this side. So I got this new guy coming in. You know what I'm saying? Just help that new guy out. Make sure, you know what I'm saying, he's on his P's and Q's and carrots. Shout out to Lil Wayne for that one. But yeah, just make sure he's on his business, is knowing what to do, whether it's running a route, which block to perform, just things like that. And so if you can, if that can be done, then you know what I'm saying, we should be all good to go. So yeah, Texans just need to defend the run, defend the Jaguar speed, protect CJ Stroud, and push to the injuries. That's all they got to do to get a W for this game. So that's all I got for y'all this week. If you're watching this on Facebook, like my page, facebook.com/BrandonBlog. On my YouTube, people that are watching this, like my page and subscribe. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.